So the voice that I've spoken the least about is Sid, and Sid has been with me for I think just over 4 years now. When he first appeared, it was quite strange because it wasn't anything like with the other voices or alters, or I'm still really not sure how to classify them. But usually from what I recall, because it's kind of difficult to really remember, especially with Darren and Scott, I do kind of remember them appearing, but that was a long time ago, and my memory is terrible, and it was terrible from that period. But usually there was some kind of warning in that I would kind of feel this presence building. Even though I couldn't see or hear anything, there was this feeling there, which I'm not really sure how else to describe it. And then as they start to, I guess, become more and more three-dimensional, I sort of started to hear them, and it would be very quiet at first and then kind of build, and there they would be. Now, with Sid, it was completely different. I remember I was just laying on my bed and I was kind of daydreaming, but at the same time, it was a bit more than that. So I wouldn't say I was daydreaming, but I wouldn't say I was dreaming either. It was almost somewhere in between. I guess if people who do wake-initiated lucid dreaming might know that there's that sort of period before you fully transition into the dream where you can kind of see and hear things are kind of starting to materialise, and it was sort of like that, and in that weird sort of in-between place I met Sid. I saw this character and I was talking to him, and when I kind of woke up or stopped daydreaming, whatever you want to call that, Sid was still there. So that was a bit surprising. I wasn't really sure how I felt about this, because this was voice or alter or whatever number 5, and as I think I've mentioned before, when I had Scott and Darren were with me from like my early teenage years, and then it was just those two for years, and then it wasn't until I was like 20, or about 20, that more voices turned up, and that was confusing for me, because I suppose I saw that as me getting worse or more ill, or whatever that really means. But certainly I thought the presence of more people in my head couldn't be a good sign. So Sid turning up kind of depressed me a bit, because I just didn't know why, and I didn't know it. I was tired. It is tiring to have these people around. As much as I actually enjoy having them, it's knackering, because it's like it's tiring enough having my own sort of thoughts, my own voice in my head. So when you add other people's thoughts and voices into your head, it just feels exhausting, and it's exhausting trying to figure out who's saying what and whose feelings belong to who, and it just gets very confusing. So I didn't really like Sid at first, because he almost immediately established this role of leader in a way. He saw himself as someone who was going to take charge and kind of watch over not just me, but all of the other alters, voices, people. And I don't think they were particularly keen on that either, because again, he had just appeared. There was no sort of introduction, there was no kind of building up to that in that relationship. He was just there, and that was what he was going to do. So I didn't take too kindly to that, and I kind of wanted to ignore him, and I kind of wanted to just hope that my brain was just going a little bit weird, and he was gonna disappear at some point. But I actually ended up really enjoying having Sid around. he was someone who, despite kind of taking on this leadership role, he was happy to stay in the background and kind of just watch over things and not interject too much. He didn't really want to have a lot of influence. And we ended up kind of building an okay relationship. As well as that, he didn't actually come with the name Sid. He's the only one of them who didn't have a name. You know, when I tried to ask him about his name, he didn't have one. And the reason we ended up calling him Sid was because I was actually having a conversation with him about Buddhism, as you do, and Buddha's real name was Siddhartha, and I just decided, well, I'll call you Siddhartha then, and we'll call you Sid for short, and that's how I met Sid. So Sid has actually been around a lot recently, and I suppose I would now refer to him as the mediator of us all, and I guess he tries to get us all to kind of work together and find some common ground between us all. And he seems quite motivated to help me out and to get me to move forward and progress. And as I think about it, Sid was actually the one who helped me come up with the 5 fundamental elements of lucid dreaming, which is something I've spoken about on this channel. It's something I've spoken about on Team Lucid Dream. It's something that I will likely do an update video on. But yeah, Sid helped me come up with that because, again, it was another conversation we were having quite in depth when we were talking about lucid dreaming, and we were both focusing on, you know, what do all of these various lucid dreaming techniques have in common, because there are so many different techniques, but a lot of them are basically the same. They have the same fundamental building blocks, and we were trying to figure that out, and that's when we came up with that. And he's helped me with a lot of things as well. He also suggested the wristband method that I've spoken about, where I wear different coloured wristbands for when I want to spend the day with a certain voice, or, you know, if I want them to know that they have priority on that day, if they want to come forward and say something, because we kind of felt we needed a better system there. So yeah, Sid is an interesting one. He's also helped me a lot when I've been panicking, and he's also helped me come up with some ideas, like when trying to think of stuff to draw. I mean, I've creatively been quite dead for the last, I don't know, couple of years really. I just don't think I've done as much creatively as I've wanted to, or that I'm capable of. I've just kind of fallen into this place of apathy, to be honest, and it's really, really tough. But there have been times when I've just had these very clear images in my head of things to draw, and Sid kind of tries to help me. He kind of does that for me. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about, really. I have met Sid in dreams and in lucid dreams. And I will talk about those in a different video. I just kind of wanted to introduce Sid to you, really. Well, not to you, I can't physically do that, but just I wanted to talk about him. So, thank you very much for watching, guys. If you'd like to support me on Patreon, there is a link in the description where you can do so. I would also like to thank these Patreons in particular. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I have been Max, aka the Rara Rabbit. I'll see you in the next video.